Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another live coaching. I hope you had a good week, a windy week. My week's been good. I've been on Maui and really enjoying the summer windsurfing conditions. I have not been on Maui for a summer in a long time. I don't know the last time I was here in August. It might have been when I was 17 or something, and even in those years, I mostly was not here in August. For the last 10 years, in August, I've been in Tenerife competing in the World Cup and then getting ready for the next World Cups. We had for years a World Cup in Klitmuller in the beginning of September, and so I was on that program. And when I was younger, there was not a World Cup in Tenerife. And so after the World Cup in Pozo, end of July, I'd finish up my training and competing in Europe, and I'd go somewhere else, either the Gorge in the US or to Baja. I spent a lot of time in Baja in those years. So my point is, I haven't been on Maui in August in a long time, and I forgot how fun it is. It is so fun. I've been having such a good time. But that fun is coming to an end. I leave tonight to go back to Europe. So I will be back in Europe tonight. It takes 24 hours of traveling to get to Europe from Hawaii. And that's what I will embark on tonight. And so I'll be back in Europe. And I will get ready for the master class that's happening in Denmark. We have a master class coming up in Denmark. It's the beginning of September. I think it starts on the 7th of September. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. All right, let's get to the chat. Let's do some intro stuff and jump into the coaching. It's been a busy week. I think there's a lot to go through in the Facebook group. All right, who do we have in the chat? We got Greg, busier. Life can get busy, but still some short sessions on the water. That sounds good. We've got, ooh, I did not mean to do that. There we go. Mark had some good sessions. Or you have a windy weekend that just happened, or I guess it's just happened. Yeah. It is Sunday night in Europe, right? So you've had a good windy weekend. Awesome. Mark is showing up to Denmark. We'll see you in the masterclass. Suna as well. Suna is going to be there, and he's had a great windy weekend with 3 sessions. Cool. Jorg as well. This is the whole masterclass crew. Jorg is going to be in Klitmuller next week. Awesome. Matt had some sessions as well. We've got Jeff joining us, and he's going sailing in a few minutes, 6:3:98. Awesome, Jeff. Have fun. I enjoyed reading your posts in the Facebook group. I hope that your injuries are healing up and that you're having fun on the other gear, like you said. We got Harold as well. 1 session this week. Used it to tune the sails. Cool. Jeff says he sailed almost half of this month. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. All right, we're going to get into some of the other stuff. What is going on in this video? So this is one of my sessions from Hokipa, and it was a mainly jumping focus session. And it was, yeah, a lot of fun to fall in love with jumping again. I've been out of jumping, especially at Hokipa, for the last few years, and these conditions are really fun for jumping. Smaller waves, pretty windy, and so it's been really fun. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is to get some variations on my jump. So, for example, to get better landings on my cheese rolls and to work on one-handed push loops. So I've done no-handed push loops, one-handed push loops with the front hand off, but something that I've never worked on before our push loops with the backhand off. And I was really impressed with Coster's tail grab push loop from the World Cup in Pozo. And I thought, well, I want to learn how to do those. And so this was my first day trying them. And I was also simultaneously, like I said, working on the cheese rolls and trying to get better at cheese rolls. And so when I'm working on a move, one of the things I'm trying to do is find a key image or a key cue to latch onto. And if you're familiar with my coaching, my online coaching, either from the TAC course or the Forward course or the Vulcan course, Shop It course, some of those are still available online. You know that I'm a big fan of key images or cues, and so I'm trying to find that myself when I'm trying to learn something. So I watch a bunch of footage from other guys, from balls, and I'm trying to find a key image, a key cue to latch onto. And so for the cheese roll, it was moving that front arm really across my body, almost to hit my chest. And if we see a cheese roll here, I'll show you what that looks like, trying to tap into that cue. So this is a one hand one, but I'm still doing the same thing. And so that cue is with this front hand and trying to bring that up over to my chest. And that's the only thing I'm thinking about. And so key images or cues are a really useful way to improve your windsurfing. Another concept that is important, and I've talked about this before, but I think it's worth bringing up. We're talking a lot about technique and secrets and key images and all of these big concepts, and they are very important. But the repetitions are also important. And if you are not putting in the reps, all of those secrets and technique, whatever else, doesn't really do much. It's sort of like a multiplier, right? So you want to have the good technique, but you need the repetitions as well. So putting in the repetitions is a very important part of getting better. One more little point, and then we're going to jump into the footage. Is that having a variety, a bag of moves to work on? Maybe it's cheese rolls, maybe it's shove its, maybe it's fast tacks, maybe it's something else. Can really help make a variety of conditions more fun. And so if you have um, a move to work on when it's light and flat, then you can go out when it's light and flat and have a lot of fun. Uh, I know a lot of people that don't sail in these conditions like we have in the video because they consider the waves too small. And they are pretty small for riding at Hokipa, but if you're jumping like I was doing, then it's really fun. And having those jumps to work on makes those sessions fun, whereas otherwise they might be frustrating because you're trying to ride the waves and they're small. And when they're small like this at Hokipa, they don't line up as well. Other places work better with small waves than Hokipa does. So the point is if you have something to work on in a variety of those conditions, then you'll get out and have fun in that variety of conditions. Simple point, but also very, very important one because I don't see people taking advantage of it. We got Steen in the chat, Axel as well, Mario as well, Ragnar as well. Hope you are feeling better, Ragnar. Hope you are feeling better. So somewhere here, I'll show you the. Oh, we got Stefan as well. Hello, Stefan. Had a few sessions in a row. Somewhere here, we've got the one-hand push loops that I was working on. And this was my first time trying them, but I've done enough push loops that I'm pretty comfortable figuring out what to do. And so I was scared. There was a bit of nerves before taking off the hand, but also I've done a lot of push loops. I want to show you guys just one. There should be one somewhere here. Another thing, this is a small point, but if you're working on your jumps then work on your jumps. And so if there are no ramps like this, I jibe and I come back on the inside. And then I wait on the inside as well for there to be ramps that set up. And so if we watch this, sometimes I'll stall on the inside and I'm waiting for the ramps to set up. So yeah, there's a one-handed one. I think I fall on this one, but this is the example what I'm working on. So taking that backhand off, and I was trying to grab the tail, and then going into the push loop, and I kind of over rotated this one a little bit. All right, let's get the other window shared and go from there. So before we jump into the Facebook group, if you want other coaching, I do this every week, and we've got the Facebook group, which is a wonderful community and resource, and I really recommend using it to its fullest ability, and that means posting your photos, questions, comments, videos, concerns, all of the above. But we also have online courses on the Windsurfing Masterclass platform. You can get there by going my.windsurfingmasterclass.com, or if you just go to windsurfingmasterclass.com and you click on this middle area, it will also take you there. And there is a fast tack course. So if you are missing waves because you're struggling with your tacks, take the fast tack course. You can go through the course, do the exercises, and see an improvement in 4 weeks in your tacks. A lot of people come into the course making 3 out of 10 tacks, and they leave making 8 out of 10 tacks. And so it's definitely helpful. And the newest course on the platform is the Shove It course, and we've got good group going. And for the time being, I'm also doing live Zoom coaching semi-regularly for both these courses and also the new courses that are going to be added over the next few weeks. So this is a good time to sign up. That's not something that's going to go on forever, but it's going to go on now to make sure that these courses have full support that they need. So everyone in them is getting what they need. If you want extra coaching, we do some one-on-one coaching on Zoom, and you can do that here on windsurfingmasterclass.com. Click this, book the coaching. You book 4 sessions at a time, and it is surprisingly effective. I've been doing this quite a bit now for different people, and yeah, it's pretty effective. So if you want one-on-one coaching, we can do it through Zoom, and works well. All right, let's jump into the Facebook group. We first up, let's make sure we're on new posts. Looks like we are. First up, we have a video from Suna. Suna says he finally got a fly mount. So these are some clips from the morning session. All right, let's watch them. Make it full screen. Beautiful timing and high five contact. Look at that. Boom. Smash. All right, let's see the next one. Next video. All right, setting up, looking down the line. This looks like it's in hand thumb. Boom. I love sections like this. So this is a variation on the corner pocket. I talk a lot about the corner pocket because I think that's one of the best kind of sections to look for in a wave, because it's really easy to get the timing and you can make a very dynamic bam off the lip. And so this is a corner pocket. What's different with this is there's also a section closing in on it from the other side, and that can give an extra boost of power and speed. So this is a cool little variation. Soon as getting that board on the rail, getting that high five angle so that the wave hits the bottom of the board, transfers its energy into speed, into board speed, which really is the point of wave riding. I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again. Riding waves is about taking the energy that's in the ocean and transferring it to board speed. That is what riding waves is about. And all of what you're doing when you're turning is taking more advantage of that energy and using it in creative and interesting ways. And the more of that energy you can take from the wave, the more you can do. You can do aerials, you can do carving turns. Like carving turns don't work if you're going slow, right? You need to be taking that energy from the wave, the speed. Uh, so beautiful, beautiful turn. And so Suna has asked for coaching on this. And I saw some of the other comments are giving some tips like move your backhand farther back and all of that above. And those points are not bad, but it's not what I recommend doing, even if getting a wider grip is a thing that all of us should be doing because it gives more control, more power, um, more agility in the wave ride. We should all be doing it, myself included. That's not what I recommend because these turns look really solid. And so, what I would not worry about is the technique. If you wanted to work on one thing in terms of the technique, Suna, it would be getting more hip bend. So you're getting a lot of bend in your ankles and you're driving the board a lot with your lower body. And in terms of technique, I'd like to see more upper body involvement in your bottom turn. And that means getting more hinged at the hips so that upper body can come forward. So you're not sticking your hips forward, but sticking your hips back. You're sticking your butt out. So your head is going down, and that will put more pressure on that rail. You'll have a harder carve on the bottom turn. So that would be what I would recommend for technique. But if you don't want to think about technique at all, and this is maybe what I actually recommend, even though I love seeing the hip hinge is one of the things I talk about a lot. But, and this sounds crazy, but I don't know if you need to work on the technique at all because what you're doing is working. So instead, what I see as the next step is working on combining turns. And so you're getting one solid turn here. How do you get two? What does two look like? Does two look like going into another frontside turn right away? Does it look like going into a backside turn right away? So the challenge that I would give you is to say, okay, you're what you're doing is working well. You're getting some nice turns. You're finding the place in the waves. How do we do that instead of once on the wave, twice on the wave? How are we fitting those together? Can we fit them together without a big transition in between? So it's not like you do one turn, stop, 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 wait, 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 pause, 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 go for another one. But you do one of these off the lift and you go right into another one. And maybe that is a turn down the line going front side. It looks like maybe there's a section down here we can't really see. Or maybe it's going backside. Maybe it's doing a whitewater turn. What does it look like? And so the exercise that I recommend is instead of working on the technique, because the technique is working fairly well, work on the line because the line is just as important as the technique. The line that you're drawing on the wave, the line that you're choosing to ride and what you're trying to do is just as important as the technique, if not more important. And so the next step now that you're getting turns that are working really well is trying to fit more of those turns that are working really well onto a single wave and having less transition time between the turns. And so forcing yourself when you come out of a turn to go into another turn. Maybe it's front side, maybe it's backside, and see where that goes, how you can develop your flow. So that's my advice. All right, let's keep on rolling. Jeff says it's been an interesting month. He's been dealing with injuries. He's got a bunch of new equipment and he's been working on tuning it. Cool. We have a video from Ragnar. Let's check it out. So Ragnar says no coaching, but let's check it out. Let's check out the video. See how it looks. This is Vargas. All right, let's skip to the sailing. So this is Vargas. If you've never been to Vargas or Gran Canaria, this is what the beach looks like. Big rocky beach, windy. The tide is very important for Vargas. It's more of a low mid-tide spot. When the tide is too high, the wave can move too much up the beach and not really work. So you want to make sure you're there on the right tide. But otherwise, it's a fun spot. It's Philip Costa's home spot. You can ride waves there. It's a little bit more side shore than Pozo, and it's fun for jumping. Vargas and Ojos de Garza are the main additional spots to Pozo when you go to Gran Canaria. Pozo is the easiest in terms of the setup. You can just live in Pozo, don't need a car, all of that. Whereas the other spots, you do need a car. You need to be driving around, but it is worth it. There's a lot of fun things to see in Gran Canaria. You can go up to Güemes, which is a beautiful old town just up the mountain from Vargas, or to Las Palmas as well, which is a cool city. So there's some cool things to see other than just Pozo if you do go. So we see Ragnar's getting a lot of waves. Boom, going for it. Something that has come up before and is so important. You want to judge your session not by how many times you didn't fall, but how many times you went for it. So going for it like this, hitting this lip, is a success. Even though, Ragnar, you fall at the end, this is a success. And I think it's really important that we all have that mentality where we're judging our wave riding sessions, not based on how many times we don't fall, but on how many times we go for it. And I'm not saying go for it and push yourself really beyond what you're comfortable with, but everyone has a different go for it what definition for what that means for themselves. All right, here's a little video I posted. This is more of the jumping. I wonder if I can go through this. No, I can't go through it slowly. Anyway, so this is some of the one-hand push loops and cheese rolls that I was working on. And having a lot of fun. All right, next up, we've got a question from Dom about backloops and backloop scores. So we've got 4 backloops here. This is from a heat in the recent World Cup in Tenerife, and they received very different scores. And why is that? So first of all, the first one is one-handed. Let's go back a bit. So the first one is one-handed, but the hand goes back on before he transitions through the eye of the wind. The next one on the gastra, he kind of falls. The gastra in the back is no hand off. It's just a normal back loop, and it's okay landing. And then this one on this gold sail is a little bit higher. The hand is off maybe a little bit longer, and it receives a significantly higher score. In general, in competitions, or at least the World Cup competitions, what influences the score of a back loop is the height and the cleanliness of the landing, and then that score can be increased by taking a hand off or a foot off. All right. So Suna says that clip is from his home spot where there's often not space for more than one hit, but he'll focus on that next time. Yeah, I can understand that, but I think so. I talked about this last week where you're working on your individual maneuvers, the cutbacks, the tricks, whatever it is, and then you're also working on combining them all. And it's this balance going back and forth between the two. And sometimes the waves really just offer one hit, and you can still try to add something to it. Maybe it's a whitewater turn right after, or a backside carve right after. But if it really is truly just a one-hit wonder wave, then we're looking at improving that single maneuver. And instead of focusing on technique like gripping wider, which again is a great thing to do, and if you want to focus on that, focus on it. I would instead, though, recommend adding something really new to your repertoire, like one-handed cutbacks, taking off your front hand and trying to touch the water with your front hand, taking off the back hand and trying to touch the water with your back hand while you're hitting it in the lip, like you're doing, taking off a hand. And that's going to add a lot of difficulty. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be fun. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to look cool. It's going to feel good. And so just a simple thing like taking the hand off in the cutback is a great way to increase the difficulty and therefore the fun. So if it is a if it is a one hit wonder wave, I would recommend still not focusing too much on the minutia of technique because it is working for you. You're getting these solid turns, you're hitting the sections, your technique is working, and technique can always be improved, but it's working for you. So instead of trying to make it a little bit better, I'd work on adding some new, difficult, challenging, flashy maneuvers like the one-handed cutback or linking the turns. So the one-handed cutback is if it is a one-hit wonder wave. All right, we have a question from Bradley about filling in fin boxes. So if you have a board with 5 boxes, you can get blanks to go in here. So these are the empty fin boxes because those can create drag or turbulence. And, I don't notice a huge difference between closing the block boxes or not. Steve did some testing and it didn't make any difference in his testing so Steve Thorpe is the man behind K4 Fins, and so he did the testing and he said that there was no difference between the board with the boxes filled and without the boxes filled. So I think don't worry about it, but if it is something that is in your head, you can get blanks to fill those boxes. K4 makes them. All right, here's a video about I did about communication. So you want to let someone know that you're there. So if they're going to run you over or you're going to run them over, if they're on your wave, just giving a little friendly noise. So in Hawaii, we say, hoo-wee, and you can choose whatever your version is of that, but that communication is really important. All right. Next up, we've got another video from Ragnar posting about his Quattro Pyramid. Here's a push loop that I posted. This felt good. I love planning push loops. It's one of the best feelings in jumping. And we caught up. I thought there was another question. Oh, yes, there is something else. I tested the hip harness. So if you've been in the Facebook group long enough, you know that we have some hip harness fans. Somewhere here, there's a post about the hip harness. Here we go. And so Thomas is a big advocate of the hip harness. And what does that look like? It looks like something kind of like this, where you're putting some straps on your harness to keep it very low, so it stays on your hips rather than riding up to your waist. And I thought that was interesting. I like to ride my harness loose and low, so I tried it. And I did it with just some rope, and I tied it. There were some spots in my harness that I could tie it to, and so you can see in this picture that my harness is staying on my hips instead of riding up. And what did I think? So it's interesting. You're controlling the rig differently. Instead of using your back or your core, you're using your hips. And that feels good. I mean, it also is work. You're working different muscles, but I think you have more control over the sail. It feels easier. I like the feeling of sailing around with the harness there on the hips, and so it's not low like a sea harness would be, but it is still lower than a waist harness would normally sit. But what did I not like about it? So I thought it was good, and I think that if you're having issues with your back, it's worth exploring. If you have pain in your back, I won't be doing it, and the main reasons are I felt like the position I was in is not a very active position, and so I want to be standing more upright like I have with my more traditional waist harness and my fairly short lines. So it's a similar feeling I have to really long lines. Like if I'm down too low, I feel like it's not an active position, and I want to be more upright when I'm just sailing around, so that I feel like I'm in a more active position. And then I also accidentally got hooked in when I was going into a jibe, and I couldn't unhook, which I didn't like, because of the way the angle is. It's similar to like with a sea harness where it's pulling down, and so it's hard to, I accidentally unhooked, and with a waist harness, if that happened, I could probably just quickly unhook myself, but that wasn't possible with this. Uh, but it's definitely interesting. It's not a gimmick, and so if you want to try it, it's pretty easy to set up. You can do it with rope or webbing, attaching it to your harness and putting it through your legs. Uh, Again, it's not something that I'm going to do, but it was interesting to try. Suna says that he will be in Tenerife next week. Who else is there? That is awesome. That sounds like a fun trip. Post it in the Facebook group. I'm sure that there are other people from the Facebook group also in Tenerife at the same time. And yeah, Tenerife is a lot of fun. I hope you guys get good conditions and have a good time. Let us know in the group. All right, we're caught up with the Facebook group. If you want to support the coaching, you can do so on the masterclass, just windsurfingmasterclass.com, and go down and say support the community. And there's a bunch of different levels for monthly donations. And thank you all these people who are Hall of Fame contributors. You can do a one-time donation if you want. That helps keep the community and everything running. Again, this is on windsurfingmasterclass.com. If you want to improve your tax or learn the shove-its, then you can do that on my.windsurfingmasterclass.com. And we've got the 2 online courses. And like I said at the beginning, for the next little bit, not forever, I'm going to be doing semi-regular live coaching on Zoom for those courses. And there's going to be a lot of support. So if you're curious about signing up, now is a good time to do so. And lastly, if you want one-to-one coaching, you can do that here. Again, this is on windsurfingmasterclass.com. You just click this, book the coaching. We get in touch, organize it. The coaching happens over Zoom. We can do it with or without footage. I prefer it with footage, but we can do coaching on almost anything. So we've had a lot of successful coaching doing forward loops, doing down the line wave riding, doing light wind freestyle, a lot of different things. So if you want one-on-one coaching with me to work on your windsurfing, this is a good way to do it. We can do it through Zoom, and it's pretty effective. I'm surprised. It's more effective than I thought it would be when I came up with the plan to do the coaching. So I'm happily surprised with how effective those 15-minute coaching blocks are. All right. That's it for this week. I'm going to sign off. The trees are moving. I am going to get a session today. I've got a lot to do. It's my last day before I go back to Europe, but I'm going to squeeze in a session because I know that I will be missing it here once I'm back in Germany. And I will see you next week, Sunday, from Europe. Take care, everyone, and I hope you have a windy week. Post in the Facebook group. I read everything that's posted. I'll see you next week, Sunday.